All right. Can we say the prayer, opening prayer one time? May all sentient beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and cause of suffering. May they never be parted from this blind bliss that is free from suffering. May they remain in a state of equanimity, even sentiment and aversion to those near and far. All right. Generally speaking, we as a human being have to live in this world comfortably, right? Happily and successfully. But as you know, the Buddhist practitioner's goal is to find the true nature of mind and diminish ego mind. That's it. There's not much goal other than that as a Buddhist. That's why we need the Dharma and meditation. Because our ego, again, I'm going to talk about ego. Please forgive me. Without the Dharma practice, it's so difficult to control ego. Our ego wants us to be lazy. Our ego wants us to be arrogant. And our ego always wants us to be the opposite of the true Dharma. We always follow our ego's sort of these instructions. So there is no wisdom voice that is coming from our mind. If you really investigate, each and every day about your activities, the voice that we can hear all the time is all ego's voice. All these, habits, like being lazy and arrogant and all of this come from this inner voice of the ego. Therefore, the Buddhists always say that we shouldn't listen to the ego. We should try to listen to our wisdom, Unfortunately, many people sort of have lost their direction, and now they have a wrong direction. It means people don't respect. Many people don't respect people. They don't respect animals. They don't respect elements. They don't respect anybody because of the ego. Because this is the result of ego, their ego. So therefore, from now on, as a practitioner, we need to give a chance to check ourselves rather than listen to the ego all the time. If we wish to make use of our precious human life, we must practice a kind mind as much as possible. And we always need to think about what is the purpose of life. When I think about life, I usually think in two different ways. I mentioned this to you many, many times, but today again. There is a just happy life and there is a meaningful life. Two things. These two are a bit different because if you have a happy life, it doesn't necessarily mean you have a meaningful life. For instance, in order to have happy life, we need three causes: healthy body, healthy mind, and healthy working life. These are the cause of a just happy life. And for a meaningful life, we need healthy sort of spirituality, which is without ego mind. So if we don't generate a pure intention to accomplish the benefit of others through having a kind mind, then no matter what practice we do, it is based on our ego mind, selfishness. And with that as a root foundation, no matter what we practice, whether it is the most profound teachings or most basic, it will only be the further cultivation of ego, and it will not lead to anything else. So that is the sort of unhealthy, why I'm saying this, unhealthy spiritual path. And it doesn't make a meaningful life. So according to Mahayana Buddhism, the essence of our practice is pure intention and motivation. Mahayana practitioners' motivation is not based on self-centeredness, but it is based upon a kind mind. Therefore, Patrul Rinpoche said that you should also examine the amount of help or harm that would be caused. If directly or indirectly, it would be more benefit to others and little harm to yourself, you should act to benefit others. If it would be of little help to others, but would seriously harm you, do not act. If the amount of help and harm would be equal, act in accordance with your situation. That's second instruction from Patrul Rinpoche.
Could you repeat it, please?
You should also examine the amount of help or harm that would be caused. If directly or indirectly, it would be more benefit to others and little harm to yourself, you should act to benefit others. Okay? If it would be little help to others, but would seriously harm you, do not act. If the amount of help and harm would be equal, act in accordance with your situation. Okay? The practice of kind mind is a great opportunity to understand our situation and develop our own positive inner wisdom. So it is the best way to help others. We practice the Dharma and bring our experience into our daily life and help others skillfully. If we practice, if we have a kind mind. Usually people say, I don't have time for practice. I don't have a lot of time for practice. It means you think that there is something more important to do than Dharma practice. That means you don't see the value of your Dharma practice. And then start to think less and less of the value of Dharma. So then you're further and further from the teachings, practice. And you have less and less desire to practice. So then you are further and further from having the inspiration to practice Dharma. And then there is not much a kind mind. A kind mind is, you have to develop this. We don't have a kind mind, but we have a capacity to develop it. A kind mind is, they said, the action of compassion and equanimity and wisdom. So the point is, we need to have a kind mind and kind heart. Patrul Rinpoche said that we should consider of the type of being when acting. This is the second. Third, if something would benefit lower beings, such as animals, but harm higher ones, such as humans, do not act for the benefit of lower beings. Even if an action would harm some animals, but would benefit humans, then act for the humans' benefit. So when he say this, why are humans are more important than animals? Because from the Buddhist point of view, animals don't possess all the 18 freedoms and advantages. Therefore, they don't have a precious opportunity to practice Dharma. And therefore, they cannot develop their capacity as humans can. That's the only difference between human beings and animals. If you help, for instance, one animal and human being, and if you help the animal and harm the human, the problem is if you help the human being, they have a capacity to develop, attain the liberation. And once they attain a liberation, they can help other beings limitlessly. So that is the difference we have to understand. That's the only difference. Don't misunderstand that, think that, animals' lives are not valuable. Their lives are very valuable, but they just don't have the knowledge that fully discriminates Dharma and all phenomena. Other than that, we are the same, exactly same. We should not harm them. So when I think about animals, human beings are very selfish people. We harm them each and every day. Like countless, actually, millions of animals killed for human beings each and every day. That's not correct, according to Buddhism. So I would like to talk a bit about eating meat, because this is a good time to talk about. Because we are talking about how to help others, right? That's today's topic. How to help others. So why do we eat meat? That's the question. The answer is, I think we eat meat because it's delicious. I believe that the main reason why people eat meat, of course people say some other reasons, but I think that's just an excuse or pretext, which means a reason that someone gives you hide the real reason. So the real reason is because it's delicious. But that kind of delicious or pleasant feeling is very short and temporary feeling. And if we investigate a little bit when we are eating a piece of meat, about where that piece of meat come from and how it become a piece of meat, then we will understand. We will know that behind that a piece of meat is a being who has strong feelings of wanting happiness, right? And not wanting suffering, just like human beings. Animals want happiness, no question. They don't want suffering, like us. We don't want suffering, we want happiness. So do they. Same thing. And this being was especially killed for human beings. And furthermore, how are they killed? Very badly. We can't even look at it when they are slaughtered. We can't look at human beings. Some human beings, we're very selfish, you know. Oh, I don't want to watch that, but I want to eat it. So that's not bodhisattvas do. If we put ourselves in their place, we will know how we feel. So we will know how much suffering that is. So I think it's time to think that the earlier part of our lives we used and we enjoyed other beings' life just for our own happiness. Isn't that correct? We enjoyed other beings' life for our own happiness. Do you think that's property? I mean, do you think that's really correct? So I mean, that is the earlier part of our lives, right? And surprisingly, at the same time, we said the prayers like, may all sentient beings have happiness and cause of happiness. It doesn't make any sense. We should not say this prayer if we want to eat meat or whatever, harm others. Why do we say these prayers? It's just no sense. If we say prayers and don't do the act differently, then what is the purpose, right? It doesn't make any sense. But more importantly, we should think about the later part of our lives is coming, right? So we don't know as I said, again, we don't know how long we are going to stay and how much time we have. We don't know that. Maybe we have a few years, maybe we have a few months, maybe we have a few days. You never know. But the point is, I think the later part of our lives, it is better to not take other beings' life for our own happiness. Better to not enjoy our future life that way, I think that's very important. As we all know, the practice of bodhicitta is the root of everything. And we want to become a bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas are, you have to understand, great human beings, right? We want to become a, kind person, great person, become a bodhisattva, and we want to become an authentic Mahayana practitioner. But then, if we don't practice for those beings who, can't speak, right? Who can't speak and who can't say, like, please don't kill me. I want my life the same as you do, right? They can't say that. So if we don't practice for those animals who do not have the capacity to protect themselves and their life, then actually, I really think, what is the point of the practice in bodhicitta? Sometimes people say that I don't have the capacity to help others. Yes, you do have the capacity, Don't say that. So think about this. Eating meat is directly harming others. No question, right? So there's a real story. Larong Monastery is largest. It is the largest monastery, Tibetan monastery in Tibet, in India, in Nepal. It's the largest my root teacher's monastery. It's like always 10,000, 20,000 people there, monks and nuns. They used to eat meat, and especially sometimes they have a puja, these books, they all day celebration, not celebration, but a puja. Sometimes they eat meat, and then a later part they say, oh no, this is not right. They say, oh, okay, like 20,000 people eat meat. How many animals killed? And then they stopped eat meat. And then when they buy food, the meat, they bankrupts, no business. Because that's huge. No business. Because we stopped, the Larong Monastery stopped eating meat. So you think about that, If we have here like all being a vegetarian, we saved many animals' lives. So that's why I said, we have a capacity to help others. Because we have to understand eating meat is directly harm others, harm beings who really want happiness. If you don't think about this, if we don't have any other choice, there's no other food, makes sense. Then, okay, we'll eat animals because they're lower than us. They don't have this precious life. 10 advantages and 18 this precious life. 18 freedoms and advantages. And what are my perfect teacher is very detailed, right? So they don't have that. So because then we can do something better if our life alive, you know. But we have good food, healthy food. So we don't have to really eat meat. So if someone stops eating meat, I think that is the best way to help other beings. Best way. As the Buddha says, taking your own body, this is Buddha himself's quote from a sutra, taking your own body as an example, do not bring harm to others. That's it. Taking your own body as an example, do not bring harm to others. So taking our own body and mind as an example is very, very powerful and lets you directly understand the situation. So let's say this, if we exchange places with others, means putting ourselves in their shoes, in their place, then we can clearly understand how they suffer and how inappropriate it is to harm them. So as we know, people don't want to think about the suffering those animals go through. People say that they don't want to watch videos of animals being slaughtered because it makes them uncomfortable. I watched sometimes when I have no kind mind. I watch them. It's helped me a lot because I understand it very badly. They're slaughtered. You can't imagine if that is you. They don't have any problems, right? Their body, their mind, very healthy. Animals, very beautiful, healthy. I love animals. I always go to zoo, and whenever I go different countries, first my visit is zoo. They're very healthy. They're very kind, right? But they killed. Why? Because we want to eat them. So people don't want to watch, the video, how they're slaughtered, So they know that is painful and wrong. So instead they ignore the reality of where their meat comes from, so they can enjoy their meal. But as a spiritual practitioner, we should have the courage to investigate what we are doing and the effect of our actions. But I'm not saying that you must stop eating meat. I'm not saying that. It's up to you. It's up to you. Because when people hear things like this, they, sometimes they feel like they're being sort of judged or controlled. Sometimes I go, to a restaurant with a student and they don't eat meat. Usually they do, but this time they don't, because they think I will judge them, and so it's uncomfortable, right? But I'm not judged that, So just given my wisdom, my experience. I used to eat meat. I love eat meat, But I say this is hypocrisy. I teach all the time bodhicitta, and I admit, what is that? You know. I tell you this honestly, like, used to I eat meat, I love eat meat, and it's really hard to be a vegetarian. But these days, I have different feeling. When I thinking about eat meat, it's kind of icky. Like, it's come from my meditation. So now, like, vegetables and meat are no different. Almost a little bit, but sometimes, like, you know, when I think about piece of meat, no, like that. You know, I don't think, this is delicious, but I can't eat. I don't think that. These days, like, kind of icky, you know. So anyway, don't misunderstand. I'm not trying to control your actions. But what I'm saying is that it's time to think about it. And at least to have a hesitation when you eat meat. You know, you should think like, you know, this is delicious, but I'm eating somebody's body, right? Somebody's body, healthy body. We don't eat unhealthy meat. Selfishly, I don't want to eat this meat because I'm get sick. You don't think about this, but you think about yourself. I don't want to eat this, I'm going to sick. That's selfish. But when we see a healthy meat, we want to eat meat. That means this animal is very healthy body, just killed for us. So, you know, then you have to like hesitate, you know, when you eat meat. Is this correct? I'm eating somebody's life. You know, is this correct? That's you have to think, I think. Is this what spiritual practitioners do? I like to develop a kind mind. Wait a minute, how did they die? You know? So we must ask ourselves like this as a Mahayana practitioners, as any spiritual practitioners. Otherwise, don't say I'm a practitioner. Then we're not practitioner. We say maybe we you know, took refuge vows, bodhisattva vows, and we may say this, may all sentient beings have happiness. We say that. That doesn't mean that you are a practitioner if you don't act that way. So what I'm saying here is that we have to think carefully about these things because we don't have much time. Life is short. My teachers say, if you don't have capacity, at least don't harm others. So we have to take responsibility and we have to consider ourselves as a sort of a protector for those beings who can't speak, can't protect their life. So I'm speaking, you know, on behalf of them. When we meditate on a kind mind, our wishes and actions are completely the opposite of our wishes and our meditation actions when we are eating meat. We have to understand that. So there are two choices, I think. If we want to develop a kind mind, bodhicitta mind, want to try to diminish ego, then it is not okay to eat meat. That's for sure. And if we want to eat meat, then we can't genuinely practice a bodhicitta mind. because we are indirectly or directly, whatever, harming other beings, that's not bodhicitta, right? So actually, eating meat is a sign of not having genuine love and compassion for beings. Eating meat is sign of not believing all beings have been our parents. According to Buddhism, we believe all sentient beings have been our parents because samsara is no end. So as soon as you being born like a being, you need parents. So we believe that all sentient beings have been our parents. But if we actually eating meat, we're not believing it. Eating meat is a sign of not having a bodhicitta, genuine bodhicitta mind. Eating meat is a sign of not being a genuine practitioner. Eating meat is a sign of not caring about other beings. And finally, eating meat is a sign of not believing in cause and karma. Not believing in cause and karma. We should ask ourselves as a practitioner whether or not eating meat is appropriate. We should be aware of the reality of eating meat. If we stop eating meat, it is, as I said, the best way to help others. The Buddhist practitioner's goal is, as I said, to help other beings. There's not much of a goal other than that as a Buddhist. So when we eat meat, we are not helping others. So that's why we have a capacity to help others. So as I said, don't think about like helping other means don't think huge or all the time. But as an individual, if you don't eat meat, then you're helping other beings. So Patrul Rinpoche also mentioned the consideration of the pros and cons of giving protect from fear. So he says, if bodhisattvas possess the power to protect sentient beings from danger, they should act to do so. But if they do not, they should not act. If you have the power, but it would cause harm to yourself, you should not act. Even if your power is small, if it would not harm yourself or others, then you should act to protect and defend endangered being as much as possible. So one thing that we can do to practice this is releasing animals. Very good. We don't have that culture in this country, actually. But in China, teachers go there and releasing like thousands, millions of, even like millions of dollars. They release animals, protect their lives. So we can do that. We can release the animals. We have that capacity. And that is a way to directly protect the lives of others. However, sometimes we should make sure that to do it with wisdom, so we are not indirectly harming others. So there are many ways we can help others. The thing is, our motivation. Do we really want to help others? Or just we want to help others, but for something else, for people will say this is great person, or for becoming famous, or for reputation. That's not genuine. That's not pure. It's still good. Try to help others, but better when we help others based on our kind mind. Much better. Through that, we accumulate merit, diminish our negative karmas. So I think it's time to think about it and time to help others genuinely. So we start with very small. Maybe we'll say like mentally, a prayer every day that has not mixed with ego, 100% for others. And then if you have capacity, then you act. Means like you release animals and protect their lives. Maybe you can release one worm, one, whatever, something small. Start with something small, not huge. Because when we start with something huge, we don't have that capacity, and then we lose our, motivation. So anyway, that's. I think it's important. I think it's important for us as a Mahayana practitioner, right? I always say like there is no enlightenment without bodhicitta mind. So if you want to attain enlightenment, bodhicitta necessary. But bodhicitta, what is bodhicitta? Bodhicitta is a kind mind. So that means we can't harm others, either directly or indirectly. So we have to. That's very important right now, especially this time of year. Century. We're losing all these good things. We have a tremendous qualities as human beings. Amazing. Our quality is limitless, but we're losing it because we don't practice. We don't use it. So that's about that. That's about eating meat. Now for the meditation section, we're going to practice. Maybe you don't like, but I don't care actually. We're going to practice taking our own body as an example. Buddha said that, right? Take your body as an example. Do not harm others. We're going to practice that during this meditation. So it means, imagine the suffering of an animal that is used for meat. Okay? If you don't like this meditation, you can meditate something else, whatever you want. But my instruction for your meditation during this time, think about this is we're taking suffering, unhappiness side, right? So think about the painful life that animal live, and especially think about end of their life. So put yourself in their body, okay? Think of how that feels. If your heart is not made of stone, you will feel it. You will feel it. Definitely you will feel it. Deeply understand how that feels. Open your heart and sit with that feeling, okay? And then once you have a strong feeling of compassion, you should think about what you can do about this and make a commitment again. You can make a commitment to stop eating meat for a week, for a month, for a year, whatever, etc. Or to help animals who are suffering, release animals, protect their life. So you can do that. That's great merit if you meditate like that and put yourself in their place, and then you will feel it. You, at the same time, you develop compassion, a kind mind. Not only that, and then you make a commitment, say, I'm not going to eat meat this month. Start with small, okay? Don't say, oh, I'm not going to eat meat my whole life. No, don't do that if you don't have that capacity. But you can say like, oh, I'm not going to eat meat a week. Based on great motivation. So you're only thinking about their life, about their suffering. So you want to protect that. That's genuine kind mind, practice bodhicitta, right? Don't think that, oh, I'm not going to eat meat a week because then if I eat, then I'm a not good practitioner, or I am not Mahayana practice. Don't think like that, but think about their suffering, their life. If this is me, how do I feel? Do I want that suffering? No. Then who are doing, and they're suffering because of us. So if you, based on that kind of motivation, if you stop eat meat for a week, oh, that merit is just limitless. That is virtuous. Great Mahayana practice. And as I said, you don't have to stop that. So if you don't care, some these Christians, believe that, oh, fish for God give us for nonsense. No, the fish is our food. Believe that. If you tell me first, fish doesn't have feeling of happiness or suffering, then makes sense. Okay, you can take their life, kill them. If you believe they have a feeling, want happiness or don't want suffering, then for sure God doesn't give you that your food for your food. So don't think like that, right? So we're just very selfish, actually. I'm sorry to say these things, unwholesome, nice words today. But this is true, right? We are very selfish people. Not we are but people, human beings are very, some great human beings. You see, they protect the environment, they protect the element, they protect the animals, they protect everything. These great human beings like bodhisattvas, real Buddhas, but not many. We have few. We need more, right? So, okay, now I'm going to stop talk. Let you practice, okay? For, again, 10 minutes, for 10 minutes.